Before that, so once again we'll revisit program number 3. I think very few students were absent for the previous lab. So we'll just revisit the program 3 and we'll start with program 4 and 5. What is program 3, students? Program 3 was all about what? It's all about which algorithm? Linear search algorithm. So as part of program number 3, you are supposed to write a Python program that will do linear search. So what is linear search, students? It's a searching technique where you will enter n numbers and you will enter into a list or an array. In Python, array and list are both are same. Okay. If I say list, that is nothing but array, and we call it as array list. Array list is one data structure which you can also see in some programming languages like Java. If you have studied Java, I think you have studied collections framework. Am I right? Have you studied collections framework in Java? Hello?
Yes, sir.
So there you have studied array list, isn't it? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What array list do there? It's a list of similar type of elements. And it has got some library support using which you can modify the contents of the array. You can add, delete, and you can display. So here also, similarly, we have a concept of list. We call it as array list. We can create an array. So look at in the first line, we are creating an empty array by name Li. So Li stands for list. After that, for our algorithm, so our algorithm is linear search. The very first thing is to decide what is the input. We know what is the, so here three things are important. So what is the actual input, what is the expected output, and how to process the input. These three things are important. First step is to accept the input. Second step is to process. Process is nothing but to implement the logic for linear search. Then next thing is, once you are done with all the computation, then display the result, that is output. So first we'll see how to read input from the keyboard. First, before that, we have created an empty list by name Li. Using the input function, we are reading. Then we are typecasting by using the int constructor and saving the value in variable n. Then we have flag.
Sir, we are not visible to screen, sir. We are not getting visible.
Here my camera is off. That is not an issue. That is okay. 1 minute. Okay. Now you can see the screen, right?
No, sir. I think it's not connected.
Connected. No, yeah. Are you seeing the program?
Sir,
No,
present
sir.
the screen, sir.
Sir, presented. It's showing here. 1 minute.
It's
Once
not
again, I'll redo. It's showing here. 1 minute. It's showing here. Once again, I'll redo the same thing. Now is it fine?
Yes, sir.
So first we are creating a empty list. Li is equal to 2 square brackets indicates that it is the empty list. Then using the input function read, enter the length of the array. That means we are asking the user to input from the keyboard the length of the array. Then do the typecasting by using int constructor. Then ultimately save the result in variable n. Then we are taking two local variables, flag and count. So here later I'll be using this flag variable in the if condition to check. In case if the flag is set to 1, that means item is found and the search is successful. If the flag remains 0, that means the search is unsuccessful. And I need one variable count. So initially count will be initialized to 0. As and when we traverse one element after the another element, in each iteration we will increment the count by one position, that is by one value. That is to indicate the position of the element. Say for example, so in the first iteration it becomes 1, in the second iteration 2. So let us assume in the second iteration we found the element that we want to search, then the count is equal to 2. That means the item found at second position. So to indicate that position value, we use count. Okay, you can use count or position, any meaningful variable. So it's a programming convention that whenever we select any variable name, class name, or a function name, that must be meaningful. See here, since I'll increment count each time, I'll have given it as count. Even if I give as position, that is also okay, because that indicates the position during searching. Now we'll apply the for loop for I in range of n. This is nothing but I for I is equal to 0, I is less than n, I plus plus. This is the equivalent statement. X is equal to int, enter the element. Then we should know what is str. Is it the local variable, students? Str is a string keyword. So it will display enter element str of 0 plus 1. That is the first iteration I is 0, 0 plus 1 is 1. Enter string 1. It will display enter string 1. Then it will be stored in X. Then we are adding it by using append function. We are adding n to the list. Similarly, in the second iteration, say for example, n value of n is 3. That means 3 times this iteration will repeat, and 3 times will be executing append statement. That means 3 elements will be inserting into the list. After that, just display all the elements. The array elements are. Then you start enter the item to be searched. That is, enter the element to search. Then save it in the variable by name item. Then now this is the actual logic. This is actual linear search. So the meaning of linear search is that you starting from the first element, you check whether that is the element that you are searching for. If that is not, go with the second element. If that is not, go with the third element. Like that, you go until the nth element. That is until the last element. So each time when you traverse, each time you will be incrementing the count. That is, count is equal to count plus plus or count plus 1. Count is equal to count plus 1. If the item is found, that is, if this item is a variable which you read from the keyboard, then this is the I represents the element within the list. If the search element is equal to item in the list, then set flag is equal to 1. Then come out of this loop. Then we can say if flag is equal to 1, search is successful and found at count position. Or else means the flag remains if the element is not found. As I told earlier, if the flag remains remains with its initial value, that is 0, that means search is unsuccessful. Enter the length of array 5, 23, 45, 12, 56, 33. Array elements are. So look at here, while asking, it is asking enter the element 1, 2, 3. How it is doing? It is able to do that. Why? Because here we are using enter the element followed by str. Str, it works like a string function. Str of 0 plus 1, that is element 1. In the second iteration, 1 plus 1, that is 2. That is enter element 1, 2, 3. It will keep incrementing in each iteration. Now I want to search for 45. Search is successful and found at second position. And found at position 5. Now one more time. Now I'll search for 77. Search is successful and found at position 5. Now we'll search for something which is not there. Oh, sorry, I didn't enter the size. Now I'll search for the element 66, which is not there. Search is unsuccessful. Students, like this algorithm will work. So what is the takeaway from this program is that we learn how to deal with the empty list, later on how to fill it in an iterative manner, that is by using the for loop. In case if you want to initialize, say for example here if you will write list, you will fix the size is equal to 5, then how you will fill it or how to fill it, then you may have to use the syntax something like this: hash list of first element, list of 0 is equal to 12. Similarly, in the next line, list of 1 is equal to 13. Like this, you have to fill the values. So instead of that, if you want to make it interactive, first you create the empty list, then you come to the loop. Here you ask for the input, user input from the keyboard, then you just use this append function so that iteratively it will keep just adding into the array list. That means without using the append function also we can initialize the array, and by using append function also we can initialize the array. So we came to know the array concept through this one. Shall I move to program for students now? Shall I move on to next program 4? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Program 4.
Okay, sir.
See, program 4, the problem statement is that we need to implement binary search using Python. The problem statement of 4th program is to implement binary search using Python. So first of all, let us see what is binary search. Tell me, students, so far numerous number of times you have studied binary search. Tell me what it is all about. What kind of algorithm it is? Hello? Basically, binary search is a searching algorithm, and it is based on dividing the array. First of all, it will assume that all the elements in the array are in sorted fashion. In case if they are not sorted, first before doing any searching here, you need to sort the elements of the array. Then only you can further do the searching of element. First you sort the elements of the array, then you call first element as low position and the nth element as high position, then calculate the mid. So how to calculate mid? Always low plus high whole divided by 2 will give you mid. Now mid is the one criteria which will decide whether you need to traverse upwards of the array or towards the bottom of the array. Say for example, so you have the values 1 to 10 and the mid is 5. Suppose if you are searching for the element 3, then you should do mid minus minus. Why? Because already you are in 5th position and you are searching for the third element. So in each iteration, you have to decrease the mid value by one position. Similarly, in case if you are searching for the value 8, the mid value is 5. So in each iteration, you have to increase the mid value by one number. So that after 3 iterations, you will reach 8. Then you can say that element found. Okay, that is how we do binary search. So first here also we create the empty list. List is equal to empty list. Then we here also use flag is equal to 0. In case if it is set to 1, that means we found the element and the search is successful. If it remains 0 throughout the program, that means the search is unsuccessful. The very first thing is that we need to do is to accept the keyboard input, enter the size of the array. So before entering the array elements, we should decide on the size of the array. Then you ask the user to input items of the array one by one. Enter the ordered list of elements. Okay, just you can write enter elements. str of I plus 1, that is 0 plus 1. That means you enter the ordered list of elements, element 1. I'll simplify this. Enter the element 1. In the first iteration, in the second iteration, enter the element 2. So like that, it will keep on repeating. Then each time when you enter, it will also sort. Sort is an inbuilt function which you can use with data structures such as list. You can use it with list, no problem. Just like append, you can use sort also. It will sort all the elements within the array. So first, in the first iteration, we are entering one element and we are sorting. So element total number of elements are 1. So it will sort that. Okay, it will sort one number. In the second iteration, you read second variable and add it by using append. Then once again you sort. That means each time you will also sort it. Then print the array elements. Now item, enter the element to be searched. Enter the element to be searched. Now our algorithm starts. So this is our core logic. So we take first low is equal to 0. When the low is equal to 0, high will be n minus 1. If the low is equal to 1, then high is equal to n. So when low is equal to 0, high is equal to n minus 1. That is the last element. Then check. So until low is less than or equal to high, we know that always the low value of the low is always less than or equal to high. If that is the case, calculate the mid. Mid is equal to low plus high by 2. Let us assume now the n value is 10. Then low is equal to 0 and high is equal to n minus 1. That is 10 minus 1 is 9. That means we assume that in the 0th index we have the first element, that is the low position. First element is the low position, 0th index. And the high is n minus 1, that is 10 minus 1, that is the 9th index, that is a high position. Now this condition holds good because 0 is less than or equal to 9. Then calculate mid. Okay, now mid has got some value. Now if item is equal to the limit of mid index. Say for example, I have entered 1 to 10 numbers and I am searching for 8. So therefore mid is 5. If item is equal to list of 5. Okay, that means in that position we will be having element 5. Okay, so condition doesn't hold good because we are searching for 8. Then come to elif, that is else if item is less than mid, no, it is greater than mid, then come here, then do low is equal to mid plus 1. Like that, if you do it for 3 times, then it will move from 5, 6, 7 and 8. Then after that you can set, you can come out and you can set. So here when you check here in the after 3 iterations, if you check if item is equal to li of 8, then it will show yes, we have item 8 at 8th position. Then you can set flag is equal to 1 and break, and you can come here. If flag is equal to 1, search is successful and found at mid plus 1, that is 7 plus 1, that is 8th position. We found element at 8th position. So like this, the overall idea about binary search is to identify low and high. After that, we need to calculate the mid position. Then once we know the mid position, then we can take a call, because the array, anyhow the array is sorted, whether to move the mid position in each iteration upwards or downwards. Now let us see the output of this. I'll enter. Array size is 10. I'll enter 2, 1, 4, 3, 6, 5, 7, 6, 8, 7, 9. Okay, so we are searching for element 9, which search is unsuccessful. Now I'll take another example. I'll take array size 5. I'll enter the element which is not in sorted order. 33, 11, 66, 34 and 45. See, look at here. Now the elements are not sorted. Before processing, as per the binary search, it has to be sorted. Now for that purpose, we have used the sort function. Now it will sort and it will display the array elements are 11, 13, 34, 45 and 66. Then I want to search for 34. So it is in 1, 2, 3, third position. But here the search is successful and found at position. Look at here where we are displaying. Search is successful and found at position mid plus 1. Why this plus 1? Because we are starting the index with 0, not with 1. Okay, that's why it will display like this. Students, anything you want to ask? Binary search. And don't look at here. One very important observation, how we are doing the division. Why we are using 2 times? Why you are using this division 2 times? Because if you use single time, it will give you, say for example, if it is 9 divided by 2, it will give 4.5. To avoid that decimal point, we use 2 times division. If you don't want floating point values, then you should use division 2 times. If you are okay with the floating point values, then if you use division 1 time, that is good enough. So that is the reason why I am using here 2 times division. This is one change, okay, syntax change in Python that you need to remember. Okay, I'll show you some example. So how it works. Look at here. 8 by 4, 2.0. It is showing 2.0. If I want exactly 2, 8 divided by, once again divided by 4, it will give 2. So that is the reason here also I am using 2 times division symbol in this statement. Otherwise it will display decimal point. Okay, so which will not work out for us in while loop. Similarly, look at here, for example, 66 by 7, you get 9.4. So instead of that, if I do 66 2 times 7, so what it will give? It will give 9. So that means it will round off. Students, anything you want to ask? You got the reason why I am using this division symbol 2 times? Hello? Yeah. Now what you do? You can take the screenshot of this. Finished?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then. See, third program already you have done. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Hello? Yeah. That means today you have to do 4 and 5. Isn't it? Fifth program is stack program. Shall I move on to stack program? Hello? I'll move on to stack. Yeah, I'll start with the stack program. Later, you can execute. Open program file, labset program file, that is LP file. Okay, first let us discuss about what is stack. What is stack? Is it a data structure? Students?
Yes, sir.
So what are the applications of stack? Why the stack is necessary for us? To store items. Okay. So is it possible to stack dissimilar or heterogeneous values in stack?
Only similar values.
Similar. Okay. What we should do if you store, like if you want a generic stack which can store like which can accept integers also, floating point also, like that. So how to do that? For each data type, you should have a designated or separate stack, isn't it? That is one solution. In C++, we have one solution for that. Can you tell me what is that solution?
Structure.
Struct. Okay, struct. Okay, that is one. After that, generic programming, generic array. If you create a generic array, that is using templates. There is a concept like function templates and class templates. Do you remember, students, in C++?
Yes, sir.
So there, the data type itself will become generic. So what happens if the data type itself will become generic? Then, say for example, during first run, you can enter only integers. When you are executing for the second time, you can enter only the long integers. Third time, you can enter only floating point values. Like that, you can do with that. Okay, that's one thing. So therefore, stack is also a data structure. What kind of data structure it is? Linear or non-linear data structure? Stack is linear or non-linear, students?
Linear, sir.
What is the meaning of linear and non-linear data structure? Now tell me on what basis you are telling that it is linear data structure. What is the basis for your answer? When you store something in a stack, the elements will be stored in contiguous memory locations, immediately one after the other. So that's why we have an index. Say for stack means we take array, we start with 0th index, first index, second index, so on. That is the continuity. And then while saving in the memory also, it will save each and every element in the sequence. That is why to traverse in case of any array, just if you know the address of the first element, that is good enough. After that, we can easily traverse. So in that sense, stack is a linear data structure. What is the property of stack, students?
First in, last out.
First in, last out. Okay. Then any other points about stack?
It support two operations, push and pop.
Yes, very good. So stack is a data structure which have the property, leaf of property, last in, first out. And as your friend told, first in, last out. Okay, that is also correct. But usually we say that, so it has a property of LIFO, and that is last in, first out. And Q is having the property FIFO. In case of Q, it is first in, first out, whereas in case of stack, it is always last in, first out. That means whichever the element you have entered last, that will be the first element to be deleted or to be popped out. Okay, that's about the stack data structure. Now let us discuss about how to implement stack. So before explaining this source code, first I'll tell you some of the keywords that I have used in this program. In this program, I am using def to define the functions. Okay, that is one thing. Then yesterday we saw in the PPT that we have a variable, we have a keyword by name global that we use to declare the variables as global variables. For that purpose, we use global keyword. Then after that, and here we are using dictionary as a data structure. You can see here, just I am highlighting this line. This is a dictionary. We are creating the dictionary by name menu and we are initializing it. We know that in Python, dictionary is a set of key value pairs. So one is the key and push is the value. And here 2 is the key and pop is the value, like that. Okay, that is one thing. Then what else? Okay, then on what basis we are deciding the functions? So basically, as you know, as you told, so stack has got two basic operations, push and pop. Push is for inserting and pop is for deleting the elements, that is to remove elements out of the stack. Then apart from these two operations, that is push and stack, we need one more operation, that is display operation, that is to display all the elements that are available in the stack. Then then always we need to say, for example, if you are asking for the elements to display, first of all we need to make sure that stack is not at all empty. If stack is not empty, then only we can display the elements. Okay, that is one thing. Then while inserting the elements, what is the criteria that we need to check? So first of all, we should know what is the maximum size of the stack. Say maximum size of the stack is 5. If already the limit is filled, all the elements are already filled, then that means that is called stack already filled. If you are trying to enter the 6th element, we call it as underflow situation, or we call it as stack overflow. That is called overflow, stack overflow. Now students, look at here. To define a push operation, I have written one function, that is push function. Similarly, to pop out the elements from the stack, that is to delete the elements from the stack, I have written pop function. Then to display, yeah, here it is. To display the elements of the stack, I have used display function. Then default is exit. Okay, then you need to understand, so how I am linking functions with menu choice. because whenever we write stack program, we will write one statement, that is enter 1 to insert element, enter 2 to delete the element, enter 3 to display, 4 to exit, isn't it? Like that we write. Now for that purpose, what I am doing, see here, just you need to observe how I am defining the main function. Just like any other function, I am defining main function also. You can see here I am highlighting this portion, define main function. Then whatever the local variables required, so I am creating I. Okay, I is not required. Here I have not used I. Choice is equal to 0. That is good enough. Then I want the choice to be entered from the keyboard. So initially the default value is 0. That is the indication that choice is integer variable. I am initializing it to 0. Then I have a empty stack. Then I have a global variable, maximum element. That means it indicates the position of the maximum element. That is the length, max length. What is the length of the? That is nothing but n. Size of the this max underscore element indicates the size of the stack. Then enter the length of the stack. So user will enter the n value that will be stored in the size of the stack will be stored in max underscore element. Then I am creating one dictionary by name menu. Then I am assigning 1 means push, 2 means pop, 3 means display, 4 means default. So before asking the user to enter the appropriate options, I am creating this menu. Then after that, I am taking this infinite loop. That means while the choice is not equal to 4, that means until you hit option 4, this while loop will keep executing until you enter choice number 4. This loop will repeat. So what it will inform the user? It will inform that menu 1 is push, 2 is pop, 3 is display, and 4 is exit. Then enter your choice. So user will enter the choice and that will be stored in the variable ch. Then to deal with the dictionary, then to accept one character, how to read one character. Okay, we have a get function to read character. So what to read? Get of ch. Say for example, get of 2. Okay, in stack. After that, so we have stack. What is stack? Stack is a list that stack is an array that we have already created, and we have, sorry, it is a dictionary. It is not a list, it is a dictionary. Okay, say if suppose, let us assume the user will enter 1. So menu dot get of 1, then next, after that there is a stack. That means it will go to see the first key. So this get of ch indicates the key value within the menu. Menu is what? Menu is the dictionary. Here if we enter 1, it will go to 1 and it will call push. So you can observe here, for push I have not put double quotes. If I put like this double quotes for push, then this becomes string value, isn't it? Now this has become, push has become string value. I don't want to consider that as push. Instead, if you enter 1 here, it will come to the key 1 and it should execute push function. Now this will invoke push function. Now control will come here. Then it will start executing. So we have a global, max element, and top, isn't it? So here we have initialized top is equal to -1. So within the main function, we have defined in main function, we have defined top is equal to -1. If top is greater than or equal to maximum, that is the greater than or equal to the size of the stack, then stack overflow. That means if the stack is already filled, further you cannot insert, the stack is full, that is stack is overflow. Otherwise you can insert. So how to insert? Enter the element, ask the user to enter the element from the keyboard, then store it in X. Then stack dot append of X. Then we know that whenever we insert an element, initially stack was at -1 position. Now that has to come to 0th position. That is top is equal to top plus 1. Now the stack has come to 0th position to 1th position. That is top plus is equal to 1. That is nothing but that is equivalent to top is equal to top plus 1. Then display stack. So display stack is a function, isn't it? So it will display, it will come here and it will display. If top is equal to 1, that means there is nothing inside the stack to display. So display stack empty. Otherwise, you display the elements of the stack or stack. So even you can display all the elements of the dictionary just by using the name of the dictionary, stack, print of stack. Now suppose, let us assume here while accepting the user input, the user has entered choice number 2. Then if you execute menu dot get of 2 and the dictionary name, then it will come to key value 2 and it will call pop function. So where is pop? Where is pop? Yeah, pop is here. So pop is here. So first it will declare global variable top. If top is equal to 1, that means there is nothing to delete, stack underflow. Otherwise there is at least one element. Otherwise that means if top is equal to greater than -1 value, that means there is something to be deleted. Then stack before popping is display all the elements. Then print the pop element is stack dot pop. Stack dot pop. So what it will do? Top is equal to top -1. That is top minus is equal to 1 is this is top is equal to top minus 1. That means whenever you delete any element, say for example, now you have one element in the array, so you are deleting it. So its index value is 0. After deletion, top will become top -1, that is -1. So -1 indicates that there is nothing in the stack to be deleted. So now after deletion, that's why do top minus is equal to 1, which is nothing but top is equal to top -1. Then print stack after popping is display stack. Display stack is just used to display all the elements of the stack. Then suppose if the user enters the option 3, here enter the choice option 3. If that is the case, menu dot get of 3, then name of the dictionary. So in the dictionary check, where is the third index? Here it is. So what is the function? Display. So this is the name of the function. This display, pop and push, these are the names of the functions, isn't it? If I put double quotes here, it will become string value. If I put double quotes there, it will become, no, this is not a function, it is just an string value. So now I want to make it as a function, so I'll write like this. So this will call, if you enter option 3, it will call display function. Similarly, if you enter option 4, default, see default is the function which is defined here. It will just come out of the program. That is exit. That is, it will terminate the program execution. Okay. Now, so see how many functions we have defined. 1, 2, 3, 4 functions we have defined. Then actual execution starts from here. So look at here. The execution starts from, this is the first line to be executed. Top is equal to -1, max element is equal to 0, then main function. So once the control comes here, so it will start from here. Okay, first it will initialize when you run the program. First it will initialize top is equal to -1, then initialize maximum element is equal to 0, then it will start execution with main function. Look at here, this is main function call. Right, calling the main function. And what is this line? This line is main function definition. Main function definition. Okay, so when this statement executes, it will call the main function, which will initialize choice is equal to 0 and empty stack. Then it will ask the user to enter the length of the stack, then choice, and so on. Further, you will continue with the choice. Then it will accordingly, based upon whatever the option you enter, it will execute push, pop, display, or exit functions. So sorry, the default functions. Okay, students, remember. So the execution. So as part of the main, okay, the execution starts with top is equal to -1, then initialize max element is equal to 0, then it will call the main functions, then everything will start from here. Any doubt in this, students? Hello? Speak out, students.
Sir, no, sir.
You got the concept? Why we have written the code like this? Very importantly, you need to understand how we are calling the functions. We are calling the functions based upon the keyboard input. That is, choice is equal to input of enter your choice. After that, look at the syntax. This will invoke appropriate function based on choice. Say if you enter 1, menu dot get of 1 means within the menu it will check what is the key 1. So what is the name of the function? Push function. If you enter 2 here, menu dot get of 2 is pop. So function associated with key 2 is pop. Like that, it will call the appropriate function. Control yes. Now we'll compile. Okay. It is not compilation, it is execution, directly execution, because we don't have the compiler here. Instead, we have the interpreter. Enter the length of the stack, 5. Okay, we have options 1, 2, 3, and 4. So just let me display what is there in the stack initially. You can see here the stack is empty. The stack is empty. Menu 1 for push, 2 for pop, 3 for display. I'll check whether I can delete anything. You can see here stack is underflow. Why? Because there is nothing to delete. So first we need to enter. So enter choice 1. That is, enter the element 10. Look at here. Enter the element 10. The elements of stack are 10. Once again, I'll enter one more element. 20. Okay, I'll enter 30. I'll enter 40. Once again, choice 1. I will enter 50. Now we have reached the maximum size. Now it should display overflow if I try to insert further more elements. Stack is overflow. Yes, it is displaying stack is overflow. Now I want to delete. So last in, first out. Stack is having the property of LIFO, last in, first out. Choice 2. 50 is deleted first. You can see there is no 50 in the list. Only there is 10, 20, 30, 40. Now similarly, next it has to delete 40. See, 40 is deleted. Then 30 has to be deleted. 20 has to be deleted. 10 has to be deleted. Now stack is empty. Okay, this is the execution of stack program. Take the screenshot. Students, take the screenshot. I will scroll down. Once again, you can take the screenshot. Yes, now again you take the screenshot. Anyhow, I'll upload these programs to the drive within the Google Classroom. We have a Google Classroom. Within that, we have a drive. I'll upload these programs to the drive also. You can fetch it from there if you want later. Students, any doubt? Students, hello?
No, sir.
You need to execute these two programs today, 4 and 5. So apart from that, I'll tell you one concept. Yesterday, I was telling you that tomorrow in the lab, I'll teach you what is lambda function. Students have verified the material which is there in w3schools.com. Okay, it's very good. And it will also provide you the virtual lab or the virtual infrastructure using which you can compile your code also. There itself, you can modify the code and you can check it out. So first look at, look at here, what is lambda function. So yeah, here it is, lambda function. A lambda function is a small anonymous function. A lambda function can take any number of arguments, but can only have one expression. So this will just work like a macro. This lambda will just work like a macro. Look at the syntax here. Lambda, that is the keyword or the name of the function, that is lambda. Then following arguments and expression, colon expression. So example is, see here you have x is equal to lambda a, x is equal to lambda a. So this is the this is a equation, and its definition of the equation is a plus 5. That means if you pass a, it should perform a plus 10. That means whatever the value that you pass, it should add extra 10 and display the result to variable x. Say for example here, we are passing value 5. X of 5 means 5 plus 10, that is 15. X should store 15. Now try it yourself. Click on this. Click on try it yourself. See here you have a virtual interpreter. You can see here. X of 5. Run. Answer is 15. Now instead of that, if I enter 10, you should do a is equal to a plus 10. That is 10 plus 10 is 20. Run it. You can see here 20. So like that, you can apply lambda. It will just elaborate its definition. The definition of this lambda is a plus 10. It will just do that one. Similarly, now look at few more examples. So in this first example, lambda is taking only one argument. Now look at here the second example. Here the lambda is taking two parameters a comma b. So when you enter a comma b, the definition is that, function definition is that it has to perform A into B. So if you are passing 5 and 6, it has to perform 5 into 6, that is 30. Now we'll try it out. Look at here, look at the output 30. If you are passing, say 30 and 6. So 30 into 6 is 180. So it has to return 180. Look at here. Yes, because the definition says when I pass A comma B to the lambda, it should perform A into B. Okay, like this, you can use lambda with any number of arguments. Got it, students? Look at here. In what other ways you can use lambda? Look at here. So while returning also, you can use. See, this is a simple definition. If you pass the n value, okay, and return lambda of A into n. Look at here. Look at here what is happening. So this is a function call. From this function, we are calling the function by name myDoubler, and we are passing the value 11. So 11 into, see here, 11 is equal to what it should display? 11 into 2, because see here myDoubler is equal to, oh sorry, so this is the function call. myDoubler is equal to my function of 2. My function of 2. And the my function of 2 is what? This is 2 and the A value. So look at here, this is A value. 11 into 2 is 22. So myDoubler is passing A value and my function is passing n value here. So overall it is becoming 11 into 2, that is 22. So this is a bit complicated. So this is not a good idea to use lambda functions like this. So the better usage for lambda. So when you are supposed to perform like these operations, it is suggested to go with lambda functions. So whereas these kind of things are always confusing. So this is confusing. Don't go for these kind of examples, even though you can do it. Okay. That is how lambda will work. Students, I think this is enough for today. So now you can type the programs and you can send the output to Google Classroom. 1 minute, I'll check. So how many of you have already submitted the previous assignment? I'll check it here. Google Classroom. So this is, oh yeah, this is for you. Python. Classwork assignment 21 September that I had given. So 41. See here, 41 students have given the assignments. That means only 41 students will get the attendance. See here, I'll come to know if you have submitted. Here I'll come to know. So who are the remaining 8 students? Benita. What is this missing? Deadline missing. So 8 remaining students, you have not sent no attachment. See here, remaining Benita, Devamalia, Manisha, Pawan Kumar Reddy, Ravi Shankar, Savita, Srinidhi and Sunil. You have to submit. If any student who has not got the invite, you can let me know. You message me, I'll resend the invite. I have invited 49 students. So is there any student to whom have not yet invited students? Hello, you can speak up. If you have not got the invite, let me know now, I'll send. Hello? Everyone got the invitation? Because this number should be 51. It is only 49 students. It is showing. Who are the remaining 2 students who didn't get the invite? Hello? Hello? Hello, students? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, tell me who didn't get the invite?
We got, sir.
Everyone got. Okay, fine then. And see here there is something called as the classwork. Here classwork, there is class drive folder. See here, I have put so many code snippets which we have executed in the class. Along with that, see here, Python module 1 notes is there. And whatever the PPT that I have done, that is there. And the Python exe file is there. So which may be useful for you. And now I'll upload the programs as well. Now I'll also upload the programs. So LabSet program 4 and 5 are also uploaded. Okay, that's it. Okay, you are having the read option here. You can read it. I'll take the attendance now. Attendance 1BY series, USN 1. Attendance. Students, answer for the attendance. BY.
Present, sir.
1, 2,
Present, sir.
3,
Present, sir.
4,
Yes, sir.
5,
Present, sir.
6,
Yes, sir.
7,
Present, sir.
8,
Present, sir.
9, 9 absent. 10,
Present, sir.
9 present. Okay. 10,
Present, sir.
11,
Present, sir.
12,
Present, sir.
13,
Present, sir.
14,
Present, sir.
15, 16,
Present, sir.
17,
Present, sir.
18, 18 absent, 19,
Present, sir.
20,
Yes, sir.
21,
Present, sir.
22,
Present, sir.
23,
Present, sir.
24,
Present, sir.
25,
Yes, sir.
26, 26, 27,
Yes, sir.
28, 28, 29,
Yes, sir.
30, 30, 30 absent. TD series 1, TD series USN 1,
So one is not there.
2,
Present, sir.
3,
Present, sir.
4,
Present, sir.
5,
Present, sir.
6,
Present, sir.
7,
Present, sir.
8,
Yes, sir.
9,
Present, sir.
10,
Present, sir.
11,
Yes, sir.
12,
Present, sir.
13,
Present, sir.
14,
Yes, sir.
15, 16,
Present, sir.
17,
Yes, sir.
18,
Present, sir.
19,
Present, sir.
20,
Present, sir.
21,
Sir.
22,
Present, sir.
23.
Present, sir.
Ravi Shankar Tripathi, listen here. You have put the message, sir. I already sent you through mail. No, mail assignments are not accepted. You have to submit it to Google Classroom because that remains as a proof at one single place. So you resend it through Google Classroom. You have to resubmit. Those who
26.
have 26, okay, fine. 15 BY in BY series 15 absent, 18 absent, 28 absent,
Sir,
and
18 present, sir.
18 present. Okay. 30 absent. Students. Yeah, I was talking about Google Classroom. Everyone has to submit through Google Classroom only. Now I'll enter today's assignment. Today's assignment is you have to post the two programs. Output of program 4 and 5. Then somewhere in the bottom it has to display your, what is that, USN number. After the output, display on print statement, which also contains your USN number, and save the file name with USN name of the your USN, so that it becomes easy for me to track who is sending and who is not sending. That's all for today's class. If you have any doubts, let me know. You can do WhatsApp. Thank you.
Sir, you did not send notes to the classroom, sir.
See, Google Class, there is a notes. Just now I showed you. See here itself. See, there is a file. See here, Python module 1 notes. There is a drive within the Google Classroom. There is a drive inside the Google Classroom which you can access. See, all these programs you can access. In front of you only I have uploaded today's programs as well. There is notes also, PPT also. PPT you forget, that is for teaching. You have a notes. You have a code snippets to execute.
We are not getting.
You have
Yes,
to get
sir. We are
one.
not. You are
See,
not
I'll
able to
show.
access this.
See here, I'll show you. Share Python one, not okay. Everything. One minute, I'll share this with. It is shared already.
No, sir, it's not. We are getting 404 error.
404
Yes,
error.
sir.
See here, Python 2021 third semester. Viewer I have set. Done also I have given. So another
We
extra.
have only one assignment in Google Classroom, sir. That's it. First assignment.
You don't have that drive option coming up for you.
I will check, sir, once.
See here, there is stream, classwork, people, and grades. If you come to classwork, there is class drive folder. So this is the class drive folder. There you can.
Yes.
Is it
We are
there?
getting 402 error.
202 internal server error. What is that? Okay, I'll do one more thing also. I can do. Just wait. So from here, I'll copy all the students' email ID. Then I'll come here. Then once again, I'll share. So I'll share with. So there is a meeting. This one. Yes. All the contacts. I'm sending Python module 1 notes to everyone. Okay, you all have got. So look at here, I have.
Yeah, sir. Now it came.
Yeah, that came. But what about this share? Share option. See, I have shared. Can you see here? I have shared, done. You have to use Chrome browser. Okay, students, that's it for today. Thank you.